for the ride home in ENC.
Yes! Yes! Yes!
This is your 5 o'clock drive with Patrick Johnson.
Holy mackerel!
More news, more interviews, more ECU stories than you can shake a stick at. Hey, stop shaking that stick. This is the Patrick Johnson Show.
Pirates win! Pirates win!
On 94.3 The Game.
Welcome back welcome into the Patrick Johnson Show here on this Tuesday edition of the show. PJ is calling the Duke baseball game today, so he is out. I'm Philip Pilkington filling in for the P-Man. We also have Dom Kasulki filling in for me. Intern Ryan is here, and we will be joined in our second segment by the voice of East Carolina baseball, Dylan Johnson, as we recap the weekend that was in Memphis for East Carolina. We want to allow a full amount of time for Dylan, so let's go ahead and hit our top 5 at 5.
This may very well be our last mission. Let's make it count.
This is the Patrick Johnson Show on 94.3 The Game.
It's impossible.
Now some stories you may have heard.
You ready?
Or catch it for the first time. This is your 5 at 5 with the P-Man.
Alrighty, the number one story here today. The postseason accolades have been announced for East Carolina for the American Conference for softball. First team selection goes to center fielder Kenesha Anderson. She batted .373 with a .940 OPS on the season. Second team was Julia Apostolakos, a 17-11 record with a .294 ERA. There was definitely a case for Julia to be a first team member of the all-conference team for the American. She did have one kind of bad outing at the beginning of conference play against Wichita, unfortunately, and that kind of skewed those numbers, honestly. If you take that out of there, her ERA would be down right around 2. She had a phenomenal year and is the perennial arm going into the conference tournament, which will start tomorrow. However, ECU will not be in action until Thursday because of that double bye that they received as being the number 3 seed. And the second most efficient pitcher on the team this year is Sydney Rainford. She is 7-9 with a 3.51 ERA, and she was named to the all-freshman team. There are only like 5 or 6 players on the all-freshman team. They didn't even do an entire lineup, so congratulations to Sydney for that. If you get a chance, head on over to Maxar Joyner Family Stadium on Thursday and Friday. You can go on Friday and still make it to Pirate baseball. If the Pirates win Thursday at 2:30, they'll play at 3:30 on Friday. And then the championship game would be noon on Saturday. If you can't catch it, the game will be on ESPN2. That's right. We're getting some big-time broadcasts here in Greenville. But come out. Admission is free. This team's playing really well. They've been really good down the stretch. They tend to play to their competition. They tend to play better against the better teams. You got to beat good teams in order to win a conference championship. They just swept UTSA this past weekend. And again, no overlap really there, truthfully, between ECU softball and ECU baseball. There might be a game, Friday, you might be cutting it close for first pitch, but it would be presumably right there. You can lead you right in. Admission is free. Obviously, starting Friday, you have to park across the street because there is baseball games going on. So do think about that when it comes to parking. Thursday, I think you can park. As far as I know, you can park over there by the baseball field and have the short walk. So that is it for softball. Now on to number 2, sticking in Pirate Athletics. ECU announced yesterday that they will not renew the contract of lacrosse coach Brittany Dipper. She has been at the helm of the Pirates for 3 seasons. She is the second coach in East Carolina Pirate history. She posted a 19-31 record after a tough first season. She went 7-10 in her second season, 8-9 this year, led the Pirates to 3rd place in the American Conference. And I know some of those records don't stick out on on paper, but you got to remember these teams do play very, very tough out-of-conference schedule. Usually they play Duke and/or Carolina, which are ranked teams, but they played well in conference play this year. Lost in the first round of the conference tournament to JMU. Dukes go on to win the conference tournament and what ended up being a 1-bid league this year. South Florida kind of got snubbed, actually. They had the highest RPI ever of a team to not make the NCAA as an at-large bid at the current amount of teams they have in it. Tim Bernetti not happy about that one, and rightfully so, but Brittany Dipper will not be back. Her contract expires the end of June. Most of the coaches here at ECU and this is around the country, for the non-revenue sports are usually just kind of one-year deals that just kind of renew, but they have announced that Coach Dipper will not return for the 27 campaign as the head of at the helm of the Pirates. All right, moving on to number 3. We're going quick here. I know it's a little bit different than normal, but we are getting to Dylan Johnson. We want time for that. And then we're going to kind of have a little fun third segment here on the Patrick Johnson Show today with some, funny audio and whatnot. So moving on to number 3 in local high school sports news, it is announced that JP2 will join the North Carolina High School Athletic Association starting in the 27-28 season. Also, Durham Charter will join this year. The reason why this is big news, normally the private schools are not part of the North Carolina High School Athletic Association. And the ones that are so far, there's 5. You got Bishop McGuinness, Cardinal Gibbons, Charlotte Catholic, and Christ the King. So I guess, okay, I'm sorry, there are 4. So JP2 would become the 5th. That's big because normally these private schools that get invited to this is because they would kick the ever-loving mess out of the public schools or out of the other private schools. For example, Gibbons would win the East every year. Catholic would win the West every year, and it would just be the championship of those two if they were playing private. So that's why they're public. Kind of have my own opinion on that. Luckily, I never had to lose to Catholic, but I have seen my high school when I was still in middle school lose to them, and they can recruit because they're a private school, and public schools can't, or at least aren't supposed to. So that's the only thing. But this is huge for JP2 to be going. They're going to have to play public school ball. They're going to join a public school conference because of this. This is interesting. And the schools that do this, like I said, this is few and far between them. It's going to be interesting to see how this works out. This is either going to go really, really bad and they're going to be a bottom feeder, or, hey, this is going to put JP2 on the map from a state standpoint. It usually just kind of goes one extreme or the other with situations like this, so it will be interesting to see how that goes. Alrighty, moving on now, and we will bring Dom Kasulki in this one. Number 4, it was announced yesterday that the Orlando Magic have fired head coach Jamal Mosley. First off, Dom, sorry to introduce you at the beginning of the show. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Yeah, another week, 3rd week in a row on the Patrick Johnson Show, so I'm getting accustomed to a weekly meeting with either you or Patrick, depending on what P-Man's doing. Big things for P-Man on the Duke game today.
Yeah, he left us for, there's those TV gigs, man. You know how it goes. But, thank you for coming in. Thank you for filling in. You have been on a lot lately. As we get more into the summer months, I can see that possibly happening more. So, anyways, as we mentioned, Mosley out as the coach of the Magic. There was rumors that had he lost the play-in game to the Charlotte Hornets, he would have gotten dismissed. However, after a 41-37 season, they do make the playoffs as the number 8 seed. They take a 3-1 lead on the Detroit Pistons for blowing that 3-1 lead to the number 1 seed in the East. I have to say, Dom, I knew there was talk of it happening, and it kind of seemed like, if he gets swept, he could get fired. If this, he could get fired. If this, I thought the talks had gone away. Like he's won more games every year. He's won the division each of the last 2 years going into this. Mm-hmm. Now, they've never been out of the first round in his tenure, but he's at least won a game and actually gone to Game 7 in 2 out of the 3 years.
Yeah, the last 3 seasons, 3 consecutive playoff appearances. So he has been a serviceable coach, but it felt like during the entire back half of the regular season this season, he was on the hot seat. They just aren't playing up to their potential. They have a starting lineup that is definitely better than their record. And the East, this was the year that it's completely wide open. I mean, the Pistons got the 1 seed. As you just said, they played them in the first round, a 3-1 lead over the Pistons. And I truly think the Franz Wagner injury was a big part of them losing because they were having a lot of trouble stopping Franz, the Pistons were. So that does hurt. And I was thinking maybe they might not fire him if he gets to the second round and they play either it is the Cavs now, but I thought maybe he'd get out of it. It's tough to see when you're able to get into the playoffs 3 seasons in a row, and you had to play the Celtics last year in the first round, so that's not an easy one. It's he's a good coach, but with the talent that they have, he just didn't do enough.
Do you think the regular season's the issue here? I mean, Jalen Suggs, Paulo Banchero, they had Cole Anthony at one time. Do you think this was more of he didn't perform well enough in the regular season is what this comes down to, not lack of postseason success, or is it lack of postseason success?
I think it's the fact that you haven't gotten past the first round yet. You've gotten your test. You're 5 seasons as the head coach of the Magic. You've made the playoffs 3 years in a row. I think if they make the Eastern Conference Finals once, if they make the second round twice, I mean, the hot seat just keeps getting a little cooler when you get deeper into the playoffs. When you're not able to, make playoff runs, basically the best thing they can say that they've done in the playoffs under Mosley is go up 3-1 over a 1 seed, which was impressive. And it was looking bleak for the Pistons. The Pistons were having trouble on offense, and the Magic defense, that's the identity of Mosley. He's always been a great coach in the defensive area. They were number 1 in defense last season. They gave the Celtics a run for their money, even though it was a 5-game series. They played great defense overall. And they were playing great on Cade. Cade was averaging like 7 turnovers through the first 3 or 4 games. Cade started to step it up. Duran started to play a little bit better in the pick and roll. And the offense of the Magic just kind of slowed down. Paulo was the only one scoring. He dropped 45 in one of the games. Cade matched it with 45, but no one else was able to score at that same level with Wagner out. And it really hurts because Suggs wasn't playing well, and then he got a freak injury. It just all around, their offense totally went cold. And you saw in Game 6, they had a lead. They almost went and won that series. And I think they went 1 in like 30-something. I mean, it's some kind of crazy stat line.
19 points were scored in the second half of that game.
That's ridiculous. I mean, you saw their shot chart. There was some kind of shot chart where maybe it was 1 or 2, 3 shots around that area and like 40 misses. And they're good looks.
Yeah.
It's just your players aren't knocking down shots, so can you really blame the coach necessarily for that? But at the same time, 3 first-round playoff exits, you got to try something new at some point. It is what it is. That's the job.
Yeah, and I wonder, too, you get, look, this – he's not getting the most out of, or in their opinion, most out of his top guys. Mm-hmm. Like, Banchero's number 2 overall pick. Suggs was the 3rd, I think. It was their back-to-back years. They were both top 5 picks. Like, I feel like you got to get more out of those guys, man. Like, those are your big pieces, and like neither one of them have really became stars in the league. And guys that were drafted right around them, Chet, who's drafted 1 pick before Paulo, is like, he's Chet.
Yeah, and Paulo really had been struggling throughout the regular season. Towards the end of it, when they were slipping in general, and then in the playoffs, he stepped it up. He was proving some of the doubters wrong with that playoff series, the way he stepped up, which is big for him, big for his confidence going into next season. But he really didn't have a great regular season, and it felt like that duo of him and Wagner were going to be a lot better and have a chance to be out of the play-in. Having to play the 1 seed in the first round is tough when you have a team that's was definitely good enough to be a top 6 seed. I think they're a better team than the Raptors are, even though the Raptors just gave a run for the Cavs money in Game 7 as well. A lot of Game 7s in the East, so it was a fun first round, and that's the way it was because it was such an even playing field where it was anyone's game. I think the Knicks are the clear favorites right now in the East.
Who would have thought that the NBA would have been less chalky than the NHL in the first round? All right, so let's move on to number 5 so we have time to get Dylan Johnson on the show. It was announced, I believe, yesterday, Tariq Skubal will be out. He is going to have a non-UCL elbow surgery, so it doesn't sound like this is TJ. His return is unknown. Obviously, he's not going to win the Cy Young, as he was the favorite to do. And now the question comes, does he ever pitch for the Detroit Tigers again? He's looking for a big payday, and does this hurt that payday? And then also, does he stay in Detroit with the contract up after this year?
I'm not sure if it hurts the payday. I think he's proven himself, with the Cy Young last year, with how great he was already pitching this year. And he was pitching great, throughout this year. Through this injury, I actually read up on it that he had been playing through some discomfort in that elbow, and they're calling it loose bodies in an elbow. So it says usually they're bone spurs, bone chips, or fragments of cartilage that break off from the bones around the elbow joint. sometimes they're just a part of normal wear and tear for a pitcher, and it can indicate an injury, and it obviously did. He got hurt in a Braves game where he was in the 6th or the 7th inning, and he needed some assistance. He ended up finishing that inning, striking out the side, and then he like you said, he might never pitch for the Tigers again. It's a contract year. Could get big payday even without pitching again. I don't know why you risk it. I wouldn't pitch again.
I wouldn't. The tough thing is, you sign a contract to this team. If they are in contention when he comes back, which with how bad the American League is, everybody should be in contention. We were talking about before the show, the Red Sox are 3 games out of a wild card, and they probably wouldn't beat UCLA right now. Skubal's going to be 30 next year. He's a pitcher. Chris Sale's still doing it at an old age, but I still think he's looking at a 5-6 year contract with an average value of $40+ million, you think, next year? What do you think?
I think he's going to make more than that. I mean, what he was asking for was like 6 years, $300-400 million is I think what he was
50+. Okay.
He's asking for a lot of money, which I can't blame him. I'd be asking for a lot of money too with how he's been pitching, and I think he's going to get it somewhere. Problem is if he's going to get that money, he's probably going to go to a top team and not the Tigers, which it kind of sucks to see when those type of caliber pitchers go on to the Dodgers or the Yankees. I'm not trying to see either of those teams get a pitcher like Skubal on their team. But as you were saying about, is he going to pitch again? We saw in the WBC where he didn't really put his arm on the line, which maybe he was already playing through some discomfort. But I don't know. Like the contract year, is he really going to come back and pitch if he knows he's getting money? With the mentality he had with the WBC, I doubt he does.
Yeah. Does that hurt his stock? I don't think so. I think in a perfect world, teams say, oh, you're not dedicated, we'll pay you less. But let's be honest, somebody's going to pay him. And the good thing is, it sounds like you said, like this stuff just kind of came apart. Like slowly. They just kind of got to go in there and, throw some Band-Aids on it and put it all back together and let it heal. So, yeah, it's funny you bring it up. Dodgers planned for Skubal trade or $400 million contract. Just took a big plot twist. That is a article headline from Yahoo Sports. So, hey, it doesn't matter. There's not going to be a baseball season next year anyways, so enjoy all the MLB you can. With that being said, we do need to get to Dylan Johnson, so let's take a timeout here on the Patrick Johnson Show, the voice of ECU baseball on the other side here on the Tuesday edition of the Patrick Johnson Show.
The best burgers around. Everyone loves a thick, juicy, and fresh burger. Tiebreakers in Greenville, plus the all-new Tiebreakers in Winterville, do real burgers better than anybody. So don't just go to any burger-themed restaurant chain. It's time to break the chain and eat local. Tiebreakers, real burgers at its best.
Everybody loves burgers.
You know what the problem is with standard belts? Usually you have to choose between too tight or the opposite, too loose. But with Anson Belt and Buckle, you don't have to choose. We got rid of the holes and instead have a track system designed for micro-adjustability. That way you can enjoy a perfect fit every time. Anson Belt and Buckle. Find your perfect fit today.
Healthwise Pharmacy rounds the bases with all of your infusion, retail, compounding, and medical equipment needs. Locally owned and operated by pharmacist Marcy Parker, Healthwise has grown to be your most trusted provider for infusion services. Currently providing in-home or on-site infusions in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia. Visit Healthwise Pharmacy at 615B South Memorial Drive or call 252-295-0059 to speak to a patient service representative to find the option that best suits your needs.
In this age of globalization, we've learned that bigger isn't always better. Ever tried to get phone help from a big corporation from a real person? Right. That's what's so nice about Phelps Chevrolet. After more than 50 years serving our community, Phelps remains family-owned and operated. Mike, Daryl, Wave, West, Alan, and Clay deliver hometown service and integrity, same as always. They share your experience, they share your values, and they are ready to help with any motoring need. Come get you one.
This is about you, your family, and the health of all who live in Eastern North Carolina. This is about the transformation of a health system into something more powerful and more human. About creating new ways to treat disease and keep you well. This is about ECU Health, which is to say, it's really all about you. ECU Health. Minds, hearts, purpose.
Make every day electric on the Kawasaki Electro 20 electric balance bike. Maximize the fun with long run times, impressive top speed, and Kawasaki build quality. Easy adjustability and smooth handling make everyday riding more enjoyable. And the standard MTB type tires provide off-pavement capability. The Kawasaki Electro 20 is the electric balance bike that's built to rip. Go to Ron Ayers Motorsports, Memorial Drive north of the airport, Greenville.
Remember, get the podcast of the show on the IBX Media app or where you get your podcasts.
I listen on my Apple Watch, smart speaker.
Listen while you work.
I listen everywhere.
The Patrick Johnson Show on 94.3 The Game.
Tuesday edition of the Patrick Johnson Show. P-Man on assignment right now in Durham as he gets set to call the Duke baseball game. The Pirates midweek is off. First midweek they've had off technically since opening week when you're not allowed to play a midweek. Dylan Johnson thought that meant that he got to have today off. Well, April Fool's, Dylan, here on Cinco de Mayo. You do not get today off because we've roped you into coming on the Patrick Johnson Show. How's it going, Dylan?
Doing good, and I appreciate this. You know, this is like my side bullpen here, just to make sure I don't get too much rust for the weekend.
I like it. Speaking of the weekend, man, you were in Memphis. There weren't many other people in Memphis, including Memphis fans. I would say most of the Pirate fans there were probably, the family members. And so a great game on Friday. Obviously, Ryan Towers, conference pitcher of the week for what he accomplished. And then the wheels kind of go off of this thing Saturday and Sunday. Can you just kind of take us through, the weekend as a whole? We were talking pre-show, and it seems like you felt pretty confident going into that Sunday contest. And, man, this team's Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. They're 4-0 one week, and they're 1-3 on the next week.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And, I mean, that's part of what's been the frustrating part, I imagine, here for fans and even inside the team there is that we've seen this team show how capable it is of playing with literally anybody, going back to beating Carolina pretty handily. You beat Coastal pretty handily before weather stopped that final game of that weekend. You beat UTSA really good in the series opener there. So the peaks are really high, but then the valleys have been really low. And this weekend was a good example of both there. I mean, the team on Friday played as good as you could expect them to. I mean, just came out and punched Memphis right in the mouth from the opener. Ryan Towers, I think, kind of understanding what the team needed there with the pitching injuries and the depth being kind of lost a little bit, that he was able to give them all but one inning, and it had to be his best start of his career regardless of what school he was pitching for there. So 7 innings, 10 Ks was absolutely a masterpiece. And then you get Colby Wallace to finish it off, who looked really good, threw strikes, filled up the zone. And then the next 2 days there was in each game kind of an inning that kind of just flipped the momentum to Memphis' side, and then the Pirates were never able to get it back in their dugout. And it was more so, as we know, kind of on the offensive side. I think Cliff kind of alluded to that with Stephen Igo earlier in the week, talking about the position players there, where the pitching was fine by and large for the majority of the weekend. Even, Sunday was the only day where you had those 3 consecutive crooked numbers on the board where things kind of got out of hand. But Saturday, the pitching did its job and gave the team a chance to win, a good chance to win, but just lack of offense there. So you put up the 12 runs on Friday, and then Saturday and Sunday, I think I said on air, up until you got the 3 runs with 2 outs where things started to get weird in the 9th inning on Sunday. But up until that point, they had only scored 4 runs on like a combined 12 hits across 2 games all the way until that 9th inning. So the offense just disappeared. And Sunday, the moment kind of was, you're right. I mean, I said the vibes were great. We took the bus over with the team from the hotel to the game Sunday. Players were juiced up. Vibes were good. I felt pretty confident, like, okay, this is a good mentality and a good attitude coming into this. And they started out good, and it looked like that until that third inning where they had, 2 on, no outs. You had the popped up bunt. You still get bases loaded, 1 out, and then you go strikeout, and no runs scored. And it truly did feel like in that moment the momentum flipped. They never got it back. It was a completely different game from that point on. Mirrored a lot like what Coach O said during the NC State game in Raleigh on Tuesday, where they similarly had a bases loaded situation. Didn't come through. They only got the 2 runs on the bases loaded walks that time out, and the game flipped in that moment as well. So it was kind of the same story on Sunday in Memphis.
Dylan, I was thinking about something. You mentioned 3 crucial victories that the Pirates have had. The Coastal Carolina game, one of the top environments we play at on the road. The Carolina game, a neutral site game with 2 phenomenal fan bases divided on either half of the field going at each other. The UTSA game, the Friday night UTSA game, Greek life night there. They've played well at home. It seems like they're struggling when there's no crowd to silence. It's almost like, because even when you think about the Coastal Series, man, that Friday night game, we lost on a walk-off grand slam. That stinks. Nobody wants to lose that way. But the fire was there. The juice was there. Is it almost like this team plays maybe a little worse when there's no energy? Because they play good in front of the Pirate crowd, and they play good in front of amped-up opponents. And I will say, everybody says there's nothing better than playing at home. I say there's nothing better than playing on the road and silencing a hostile crowd. But when you're playing on the road at Memphis and there's 45 people there, my Little League games had 45 people there.
Yeah, and I actually heard somebody, wasn't like a Memphis athletic staffer, but just a game worker, referred to it as a huge crowd one of the days, Saturday or Sunday over the weekend there. So, although, the crowds at Clark LeClaire, say what you want, but we are spoiled in how many people we get to routinely show up for a random midweek game. But that aside, I think, energy is a good word. I think Cliff Godwin's used it a lot this year, right, when talking about, kind of disappointing performances from this team. It's, I think, been as much or more about that than it has been about actual execution there, where it's just been about the team's body language, the team's energy, whether things are going good or bad, buying in as a team and pulling towards one goal rather than worrying about individuals there. And you're right. They've responded really well when there's some kind of external juice that's applied to them there. So you talk about, Carolina was a rivalry team. Now, on the flip side, you can say the NC State games were rivalry teams. So that was a head-scratcher there as well. I would also say the Charlotte series. They sweep Charlotte. They looked really good. Now, this was before Charlotte, the bottom fell out on the 49er. That was after the Pirates swept them. But that's a Charlotte team that there was very high tensions last year in Charlotte when they played. Perhaps this team remembered that, and they, kind of went in with an edge, wanting to especially stick it to the Charlotte 49ers, and they played like it. And then South Florida as well beat them on the road last year. East Carolina and South Florida's kind of had some tensions over the years playing as conference foes. And then the Pirates handily swept them, and that's a team that is shown to be really good at times, has a good record this year. So I do think that there's, a great response from this team when there's something like that gets them going. The UTSA one was on the road, but you had Ethan Norby pitched like, Ethan Norby is capable of, and they responded really well to that. So I think some of the head scratchers this year have been ones where there's no factor like that to respond to.
Speaking of no energy, when there is no energy, though, Dylan, in the crowd, how does your job change? When you're at Clark LeClaire, you're at, the Bosch, you're down in Coastal, the crowd's there. The crowd's doing it. If you take a breath, we can hear them. How do you keep the energy when it's a Memphis game on a Sunday and the wheels have fallen off of it? Because you do a hell of a job, but Coach O's not there. Do you have to get in a different mindset going into the game when it's like, man, there's going to be 46 people here today, and the game I called earlier had 4,600 on Tuesday when we hosted NC State?
Yeah, it is a little bit of a prep talk beforehand, right? That you're like, hey, games are games, right? You're lucky to do them no matter when. I know that I saw, interview earlier the week, the Charlotte Hornets play-by-play man was talking about that too, just the thrill of getting to do games and so how lucky you are there. So you definitely have to remind yourself of that. Once the game gets going like that too, obviously Philip, you and Dom and you guys, know about it. But to kind of go inside baseball for people there, like we have a crowd mic that's a part of the broadcast there that picks it up. At Clark LeClaire, that's pretty easy. You don't have to. You can keep it kind of at a good setting. You don't have to touch it. That's going to pick fans up there. You go on the road, my hand's on that thing, the knob the whole time. I'm jacking it up pretty high to be able to pick up as much background noise as I can, especially when you, like you said, the wheels kind of fall off there. You almost have to kind of lean on that even harder because the game itself isn't going in an interesting direction. And so if I can kind of take myself off of it a little bit, just let the sounds of a baseball game go, and at least people can enjoy that much, the sound of baseball. But then I guess to keep myself and people engaged in it, it's just kind of that throwing in there, like, hey, baseball's 27 outs. It's not over till it's over. Can they stay dry? You're rolling into every half inning. Can the offense get unloose here? Can the offense get something going? Can they kind of get back into this one? And you just hope that people stick with you through that.
It's funny that you bring that up. There was one instance this past Friday night. It was late. I think East Carolina was already up 9 runs or so. And I'm sitting there, and you paused to take a breath. And it was just slightly longer than you normally do. And the crowd was so quiet. I had to get my eyes into our spot in the hallway where it shows if you're connected. I thought I'd lost you. You didn't even pause long, but it was just like I'm used to like ho hum, and it was just like crickets, man. Like it's crazy the difference. And again, you probably cranked it up as high as you could, and there was nothing you could do. And I'm just like, man, did I lose him? Am I gonna have to throw the break and call and be like, dude, reconnect? But I mean, yeah, we are fortunate here, man. We really do have the best fans in the conference, one of the best fan bases in the country. I just wish, and it kind of goes back to my earlier question that I asked you that you answered really well, was do they play better when they have a crowd to silence or a crowd to get behind them? And I almost wonder, if we were playing SEC, ACC opponents, would they play better week in, week out? I don't know if the record would be better, but I know that's all hypothetical anyways. So, there has been some change in this team. You mentioned – and we were talking about it on Steven's show today. You talked about it. Cliff talked about it on Steven's show yesterday. The position players. Sounds like the position players, from what we understand, are in the doghouse a little bit. They, he said they're going to be practiced hard. And usually don't practice guys that hard this late in the season, but I understand what he's doing. I totally back him. The pitching, heck, 5 of those runs were unearned on Sunday. Where do you think and how tough do you think it is right now on Cliff Godwin to make the decision with his position players, defense as opposed to batting? Because, right now, let's just call a spade, and when Lashley's out there at short, things don't go as well. But when Parham's in the box, things don't go as well. And it seems like Cliff's kind of toggling back and forth. A lot of people are asking all these message boards, what's wrong with Lashley? Is it just, do you think it's a defensive thing? He's just kind of in the doghouse due to errors, and CG is willing to, maybe, Parham's bat's not as good, but willing to put him out there because he trusts him in that really tough shortstop position?
Yeah, I imagine it is incredibly frustrating, and that's kind of the sense you get, I think, that as the year kind of goes on. With Cliff and the coaching staff there is you're looking at the options, but at this point, how many options can you name that they haven't really tried, that they haven't gone to? We talk a lot before games, especially at home. When me and Coach O are sitting in the press box there getting ready for the game, and as you or other people or just all kinds of people will come in and out. They'll pick our brains, especially Coach O, on what do you think about this game? What do you think's going to happen? What do you think about the starting lineup as soon as we get that? And if there's ever questions about it, why don't they try this? Why don't they try that? I think this is the answer, the direction they need to go in. And I'm thinking, they've tried just about everything at this point. We've gone Parham and Lashley there. We've tried to insert the DH has been, Boucher, Kalinich, Sabater, Bachman, even Blade Carver once or twice in there. It's been a rotation of guys. Davin at times back when before, when he wasn't playing in the outfield when Grady was out there. You've had Boucher over at first. You had Davin play over there for a couple of innings. You've had just so many different combinations of things. Hakame before he got hurt, Jack Vogeley before he got hurt. And all of these options are certainly talented and capable, and they show us that at times. And then there's other games where they'll turn around then and it's an over. Coming off a game where with 2 extra base hits, for example. And that can come from any given player. And they can play great defense, and into the next game it would be substandard. And so I imagine that's the frustrating part there is they've been pushing buttons and pulling strings, and they've tried, just about every combination here to find what's going to be that magic combination that, unlocks this team's potential and allows them to click. But to this point, game to game, you're not always sure what you're going to get.
You don't. That's tough. I think the pitching this year, they've been hindered by injuries, but still, I think it's taken them from a great college rotation to what an average to good one would be. An average to good one really is probably 2 good starters, only about 2 to 3 relief arms you really trust. But at the end of the day, the bat's got to wake up. And Dylan, I'm just hoping, man, when we're getting Grady back hopefully soon. He's our phenomenal center fielder. I'm hoping they find a way to keep Sabater in the lineup at DH, or maybe even Sabater's obviously faster than Jack. Maybe move him to right and Jack to DH. Jack tracks the ball well, but let's be honest, Jack's not our fastest outfielder. In fact, he's our slowest outfielder. But even though he judges the ball well, so I'm hoping. I think if all 4 of those guys can be in the lineup between those guys, and that's keeping Davin in the lineup, keeping Braden in the lineup. Fingers crossed, it ain't over. We've played 49 of these things, but it ain't over yet. I don't know. Am I being over optimistic here?
No, it's never over. How many times do we got to hear Cliff Godwin, remind us that as long as there's a shot, he's going for it full throttle. And I know last year's a good example. This team is more talented and has performed better to this point in the season than last year's team did, and last year's team still got hot, won Clearwater, and pushed Coastal Carolina in its own regional to the brink. So absolutely, is it possible? For sure. And you're talking about some of the people that you're going to eventually get back, Jenkins, Weber, Antolik, Lenahan. The difference there is, where we were last year, we were waiting a lot on some arms to come back as well, but those were more projections, I would say. Those were guys who were wondering, they were coming off injury. We think they're going to be dominant weekend arms we were hoping to come back and didn't. This year, though, with Weber, he's shown us as a freshman an ability to pitch against really good offenses at a high level. Sean Jenkins obviously has shown us what he's capable of. Grady Lenahan as well. So, absolutely. Is it too early to count this team out? 1,000%. They're still second in the conference, and they've got some pieces that'll be back, and they've shown us that they can play and beat teams who are top 10 teams in the country. So last year was proof, again, that this team could find the right time to make it consistent, which has probably been the one thing that's been missing.
Well, Dylan, we thank you for your time. You've been pulling some 4-hour midweeks, it seems like, lately. So we got you at about a 20-minute midweek. So we appreciate the time. Thanks as always. And I guess we'll hear from you on Friday.
All right. Yeah. Thanks for keeping my pitch count low today. And go Pirates.
There you go. Giving that voice box a little rest. Just throw in that bullpen session. Alrighty, that was Dylan Johnson. We're going to take a time out and be back with more of the Patrick Johnson Show right after this.
This is about you, your family, and the health of all who live in Eastern North Carolina. This is about the transformation of a health system into something more powerful and more human, about creating new ways to treat disease and keep you well. This is about ECU Health, which is to say, it's really all about you. ECU Health. Minds, hearts, purpose.
You have a choice when you invest in insurance, and when you choose First State Insurance Advisors, you're working with people you can trust. Clark Stallings has deep ties in the community. His team, including Keaton Smith, Regina Asby, Phil Leyva, Max Joyner Jr., Max Joyner III, and Ginger Smith, provides knowledgeable and professional advice. First State Insurance Advisors is an independent insurance agency. They offer all types of personal insurance as well as various types for business. Call or email First State Insurance Advisors today. We want to be your trusted choice agency.
Acre Station Meat Farm, along with Lane Angus Beef, bring you Farm to Fork Beef.
Stock your freezers now with affordable beef boxes just in time for the grilling season.
Farm to Fork Beef brings quality local beef to your family. From your traditional butcher shop, Acre Station Meat Farm. Come on down to Acre Station Meat Farm and find out why we're #1 in fresh cuts and friendly service.
Acre Station Meat Farm, Highway 32 North, Pinetown.
Daughtridge Gas and Oil has been your dependable propane supplier for 95 years. Their trained technicians can service and properly install all your propane and natural gas appliances. Plus, Daughtridge Gas and Oil is your backyard expert with fire pits, grills, smokers, and more, including quality outdoor furniture at their Greenville Patio and Hearth Shop at 1901 Charles Boulevard. Go by and see the knowledgeable staff at Daughtridge Gas and Oil for propane delivery or call 756-1345.
Healthwise Pharmacy rounds the bases with all of your infusion, retail, compounding, and medical equipment needs. Locally owned and operated by pharmacist Marcy Parker, Healthwise has grown to be your most trusted provider for infusion services. Currently providing in-home or on-site infusions in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia. Visit Healthwise Pharmacy at 615B South Memorial Drive or call 252-295-0059 to speak to a patient service representative to find the option that best suits your needs.
In this age of globalization, we've learned that bigger isn't always better. Ever tried to get phone help from a big corporation from a real person? Right. That's what's so nice about Phelps Chevrolet. After more than 50 years serving our community, Phelps remains family-owned and operated. Mike, Daryl, Wave, West, Alan, and Clay deliver hometown service and integrity, same as always. They share your experience, they share your values, and they are ready to help with any motoring need. Come get you one.
Listen up. He's talking now.
Sorry, thought we were vibing.
The Patrick Johnson Show on 94.3 The Game.
Welcome back into the Patrick Johnson Show here. Philip Pilkington filling in for the P-Man. We just spoke with Dylan Johnson, the voice of East Carolina baseball. Now we're going to continue to talk college baseball here on the PJ Show, and we're going to talk about it from a standpoint of late season midweek games being canceled. Last week, North Carolina canceled a game against Queens for weather. It never rained. NC State tonight has canceled their game against North Carolina A&T. There's no weather. Supposed to be in the Triangle tonight, at least till later. Take that back. It's supposed to be 2 days from now. Yeah, it's only Tuesday. Now, Arizona State and Missouri were canceled. I do think that was actually a weather thing. I mean, those are two top programs. Arizona State's ranked, Missouri's an SEC school. Oregon, Grand Canyon, Kansas State, Missouri State, Ball State, and Purdue said weather, but they canceled it like yesterday, like really early. And they even said possible inclement weather. Look, man, Dom, this comes down to, I'm sure there's been some rain. Out of the ones we just read off, and I even saw some other ones. There's just a tweet about these games, but I saw some other games. Yes, it rains. And it's too late in the season to make stuff up. But the NCAA puts value in RPI, where teams lose points for showing up. That's what was going to happen to NC State today. Mm-hmm. Even if they won. If they won by 52 runs, they would have lost points.
It's ridiculous.
And then here we are, teams canceling games. It's not holding up the integrity of the sport. And teams are canceling games because you, the NCAA, who can't govern a damn thing, continue to use a broken system, and nobody cares to fix it. That's the problem. They never come out and say, we're going to fix this. We're going to go to Ken Palm in basketball. We're going to go to whatever. No. You continue to leave up stupid stuff like the net and the RPI, and it makes people cancel games where fans have paid their hard-earned money to go. Maybe they promise their little kid or their grandkid, I'll take you to this baseball game, and then there's no weather in Raleigh, and the stupid game gets canceled. I mean...
Yeah, I hate it too, man. I want to see my team play a baseball game. We're close to Raleigh. I mean, we don't like NC State, but they're playing big games towards the end of the season. They're going to lose RPI if they win. Obviously, this isn't, their biggest game of the season, but you go out and you play some baseball. You use the pitchers that you have ready for Tuesday games. Those guys are used to going those days. Now you're going to get longer rest, more advantage for the weekend. I mean, it continues to, it's like a trickle-down effect with, maybe some teams, the next team NC State plays is going to play on Tuesday, and NC State gets this Tuesday game off that they cancel. I hate RPI, but I don't think they should be able to cancel games for it, but I don't blame them at the same time, because why would you go out there and use your arms if it's just going to make you look worse even if you win? What's the point?
Yeah, you're right. And I'm looking it up here. Is Stanford supposed to play today? I'm not seeing anything saying they're not playing today. So, yes, it looks like Stanford in their game against San Francisco will be played.
Well, we got 2 top 16 teams in the nation that are canceling their games because it's going to hurt them, Arizona State and Oregon.
Yeah. I think the Arizona State and Missouri, I'm thinking there is some weather in the middle of the country.
That one's weather related?
I'm guessing. I mean, I don't think either team's going to usually. I mean, Arizona State going on the road to an SEC school is probably good. Missouri. I mean, no, but it could just be a phantom. We don't want to travel late in the season. We've got all this stuff. Then why schedule them? I guess maybe you have to schedule 56, but front load your schedule more. Play more dual midweeks or 4-day weekends, 4 games in 3 days early in the season if you're going to do this crap.
Feels like there's always a problem with RPI. Doesn't feel like anyone is necessarily on its side.
I mean, when's the last time an MLB game got canceled? Didn't get made up. I mean, maybe if there was a game canceled with a week left in the season and both teams are way out of contention.
But you're not canceling games intentionally.
Yeah. I mean, I remember the Celtics one year were supposed to play the Pacers the day of the marathon bombing.
Mm-hmm.
There was like a week and a half left in the season. Both teams were locked into their seed, and they were just like, look, we don't want to get anybody hurt before the playoffs. Both teams will be the seed they're going to be. Let's just not worry about it. But Boston was on lockdown for 4 days. So part of your rescheduling time anyways in there was messed up. Like, weird circumstances should cause you to cancel games. Weather, attacks. But no, we're just canceling games because... And again, like you said, how does Stanford feel now? Stanford's got to roll out there today and play San Francisco, and then they got to host NC State. I guess State's got to fly across the country, but hey, maybe you should regionalize your conferences better.
It sucks. I don't like it. Like I was saying, I mean, you might end up having to throw 6 bullpen arms because you have a bullpen day on a Tuesday where you need all 3 of your starters on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and now you're going to have that entire bullpen rested. That's the point of view I'm thinking of it in the fact that I don't like canceling games in general. I don't think it should happen, but it is an advantage, and you're getting a disadvantage when you're playing that game. So if a team's allowed to do something, they're going to take the advantage.
Yeah, what I'm hearing is the NCAA needs to have a little integrity, or force their schools to have a little integrity and start creating some punishments for us. All right, we do need to take our next break. We want to talk about a funny call that came into the Carolina Hurricanes after the Game 1 win. This was a recorded voicemail of a upset Flyers fan. This is pretty dang funny. We might also hit on a little NBA if we've got time. All that still to come on the Patrick Johnson Show.
Get ready to bring on the savings at Greenville Toyota with major deals on brand new Toyotas like a Camry, $229 a month, or RAV4, $279 a month. Now's your turn to save at Greenville Toyota.
Your confidence makes everything look good. You see the world in vivid color, not black and white. Swing through your neighborhood Fantastic Sam's Cut in Color and let our experienced stylists take you from everyday to extraordinary.
Fantastic Sam's hair salons are locally owned and operated. Our full-service salons are conveniently located in Goldsboro, Kinston, Greenville, New Bern, Jacksonville, and Calabash. Stop in today at Fantastic Sam's, where the possibilities are endless.
Healthwise Pharmacy rounds the bases with all of your infusion, retail, compounding, and medical equipment needs. Locally owned and operated by pharmacist Marcy Parker, Healthwise has grown to be your most trusted provider for infusion services. Currently providing in-home or on-site infusions in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia. Visit Healthwise Pharmacy at 615B South Memorial Drive or call 252-295-0059 to speak to a patient service representative to find the option that best suits your needs.
Insurance for your business is as complicated as it is important. Being overinsured or underinsured could be an expensive mistake. That's where Flatlands Insurance Group comes in. We help business owners design plans that guard against real-world risk. Our three-step process of analyzing the risk, implementing the solution, and monitoring the results help keep our customers on track year-round. If you want a proactive partner in risk management, give our team a call. Flatlands Insurance Group, your whole world covered.
Visit Larry's Steakhouse for a tender, hand-cut certified Angus ribeye. Other entrees include perfectly seasoned pork chops, chicken or seafood favorites like shrimp, tuna, and salmon. Complement your meal with Larry's fresh 20-plus item salad bar, or enjoy it as an all-you-can-eat entree. Daily rotating favorites include meatloaf, chicken pastry, hamburger steak, spaghetti, pork chops, and more, all complemented with your favorite country sides. Whether it's for lunch, dinner, or our Sunday brunch, remember to support and eat local. Larry's Steakhouse.
Make every day electric on the Kawasaki Electro 20 electric balance bike. Maximize the fun with long run times, impressive top speed, and Kawasaki build quality. Easy adjustability and smooth handling make everyday riding more enjoyable. And the standard MTB type tires provide off-pavement capability. The Kawasaki Electro 20 is the electric balance bike that's built to rip. Go to Ron Ayers Motorsports, Memorial Drive north of the airport, Greenville.
Bring on the savings with new Toyotas from $159 a month at Greenville Toyota. Get huge discounts like Corolla's $159 a month or Tacoma's $249 a month. Save today at Greenville Toyota, where our volume saves you money.
And now, the stunning conclusion.
Why is everyone screaming?
On 94.3 The Game.
Welcome to the Patrick Johnson Show as we get set to put up on the wrap on this Tuesday edition. As many of you know, the Carolina Hurricanes are now up 2-0 on the Philadelphia Flyers. Won in overtime last night 3-2. But game one was a little bit of a slaughtering in favor of the Canes. An angry Flyers fan called into the Carolina Hurricanes like front office or guest hotline or whatever and left this voicemail.
For the record, haven't had anything to drink this evening, and I've never made a call like this, but I would love to know what you guys paid those refs tonight. I think that was a shameful display. I think it was an embarrassment to the game, and I think you should be ashamed of yourselves and what you did. That was an incredible lopsided game. I think it's embarrassing that a Southern team cannot win without cheating. So, good luck to you, but I think if you're a fraud, your team's a fraud. Martin Brindamore, your coach, should have been had to have a little more pride considering he played for an actual team for 9 years, as I will recall.
Yes, Rob Brindamore played for the Flyers before being traded to the Carolina Hurricanes, where he won a Stanley Cup. Southern teams can't win without cheating. Well, Florida teams, unfortunately, keep winning the Stanley Cup. They won the game 3-0. I'm not going to lie. It was on in the background. You and I were both locked into Celtics Game 7.
Yeah,
But Mark Miller, who is a Flyers fan, said the team played like crap, said, that they didn't deserve to win, said that they looked discombobulated, said that they looked tired. They lost 3-0. They were down 2-0 like 5 minutes into the game, and this moron's calling in saying, "Oh, yeah, it was the refs." The refs were on your side last night, buddy. I can tell you that.
Yeah, they were. That's hilarious. So, yeah, I didn't really watch game one either. Game two was definitely put on. That was a fun game in overtime. But that dude, it cut off a little before it because we're on air, but he said a little bit of not nice words to the front office or whoever they're calling into at the end. He was giving out his address, his full name. He wants all the smoke. Philly fans are different.
I will give it to you. Philly fans are different, and in good ways and in bad ways.
Yeah.
Philly fans are different.
I mean, when they win or lose playoff series, they're going to riot the streets either way. Sometimes it's good ways, sometimes it's bad ways. This is a prime Philly fan right here.
Oh my goodness! Just like I said, I wish I watched the game a little closer now that I hear this.
Yeah, me too.
I still, man, look, I mean, the last night there was a couple. They're always going to call high sticking. There were some weak high sticks on the Canes, but late it just seems like there were some plays on Philly. There was a trip at center ice where one of the guys stuck his knee out, no call. Anyways, point being, dude, like your team was tired. They'd come off an emotional series win. They didn't deserve to win the game. Could the officiating be bad? Sure. I don't know. Like I said, didn't watch it tight enough to know. But you weren't the better team that night. So let's just call it what it is and pick up and move on. You're not supposed to win game one on the road anyways. Alrighty, speaking of which, game ones, and tonight it will be a little bit of game ones in the NBA as well as the NHL. Wild will be at the Avalanche. That's actually game two, pardon me. And then it'll be a pair of fours against ones, Cavs, Pistons, Lakers, Thunder. Just quick thoughts here, Dom. We got about a minute and a half left in the show, especially on these basketball games.
Well, not a fan of either the Thunder or the Lakers, but I'd love for it to be somewhat of a series. I wish Luka was playing. His offense is needed surely against this Thunder defense and this Thunder team in general. They're going to need an incredible showing from some of the role players from the Lakers. I don't think they're going to get more than a game during this series, unfortunately, without Luka. And then on the other side, Cavs and Pistons. I think that game or that series could be a deep series. It's exciting. The big men on the Cavs, I think, could prove to be a problem with how Duren has been playing so far in the playoffs. And if that is the case, I think that would be the deciding factor because I think the guard play on both sides is very good.
Do the Pistons have what it takes? Do they have the offensive firepower to actually make the NBA Finals, or did they get exposed last series?
Yeah, they don't have the firepower. Duren has to be a 20 to 25 point per game playoff scorer, and I don't think he has it in him, especially the physicality of the defense in the postseason. I think it's a different breed for him. Cade has been playing well offensively outside of the turnovers, but I don't think Cade and friends is enough.
The Jaden Ivey pick just did not work out. Obviously, he's not there anymore. If that worked out, they're forced to be reckoned with. Alrighty, thanks, Dom. Appreciate it. Thanks to intern Ryan, and thanks to PJ for letting us fill in, and thanks to Dylan Johnson for joining us here on the Tuesday edition of the Patrick Johnson. So PJ will be back tomorrow. We're going to get up with Shane Winkler tomorrow and preview the conference tournament for ECU softball. Have a great rest of your evening, Pirate Nation.
At Parker's Barbecue, our family has been serving your family for 3 generations.
For that, we say thank you. Blessing families every Thursday. Kids eat free all day. That's the Parker's way.
Legendary food served from our 3 locations. Always quick, always delicious. That's the Parker.